Hello everyone, and thank you for attending this FinTrU Legal Careers webinar. My name is Una Rooney and I am a Senior Vice President at FinTrU working within legal. FinTrU Legal continues to grow at an exceptional rate, and so we wanted to talk to you today about what we do here in the FinTrU Legal Department. Our teams work across a range of regulatory projects as well as supporting our investment bank clients with their business as usual functions. We draft and negotiate a range of documentation to enable our clients to trade with their market counterparties. The goal of this event today is to give you an insight into what exactly a career within the legal department looks like here at FinTrU and how the FinTrU legal team can help provide you with a successful career in our award-winning company. We're now going to meet our panel of FinTrU legal professionals. Please do use the chat function to submit any questions that you have anonymously, and we'll be sure to address them during the audience Q&A session at the end of the panel. So just to start things off, I will introduce our first panel speaker today, Paul Skaggs. Paul, do you want to give us a brief introduction to yourself and your career at FinTrU?
Sure, thanks, Una. So, hello everybody. My name is Paul. I'm a relatively recent joiner to FinTrU. I started in September last year, and I work in the legal team with a focus on learning and development. In terms of my background, I started my legal career training as a solicitor with a firm in London, qualifying into the Finance and Projects Department. I worked on a range of matters, corporate aspects of shipping transactions, financing of hospitals and schools, general corporate transactions such as buying and selling companies, shareholders agreements, equity investments and share buybacks and the like. The next stage of my legal career was when I joined the markets legal team in a large investment bank. And various times over the course of my time at the bank, I worked on the negotiation of general derivatives trading documentation, prime brokerage documents, some work on some structured products and repurchase and stock lending documentation. And I ended up being part of a team that supported the rates business at the bank. I also managed a number of specific remediation projects, including changes relating to regulations for exchanging collateral and the transition away from certain interest rate benchmarks like LIBOR. So that's me, Una. Back to you.
Thanks, Paul. Sinead, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thanks, Una. Hi, everyone. My name's Sinead. I'm a Vice President here at FinTrU. I joined the company in February last year. Bit about my background. I graduated from Queen's University in Belfast with an undergrad degree in law and a master's in criminal justice. I didn't take the traditional legal route of qualifying as a solicitor or barrister, but I started my legal career in financial services about 10 years ago in an in-house legal role at an investment bank. Over the years, I've worked both in-house legal roles and consultancy-based roles. I briefly left the financial services industry and got some experience in commercial risk and quality management, but I was drawn back to financial services because of the dynamic and challenging environment that it provides. At FinTrU, I currently manage one of our business as usual negotiation teams for one of our Tier 1 investment banking clients. In BAU, we're essentially an extension of our client's documentation team. We work very closely with our client's team, drafting and negotiating a range of trading documentations for their counterparties. Thanks, and back to you.
Thanks, Sinead. And last but certainly not least, Paul Duffy, can you tell us about your experience?
Absolutely, thank you, Una. Hello, everybody. My name is Paul Duffy. I started my legal career as a private practice solicitor in Newcastle upon Tyne, qualifying in October 2010. I moved back to Belfast in 2012, and up until joining FinTrU in 2018, I worked as a private practice solicitor in Belfast, which included opening up and running my own law firm for a year and a half, and also spending 2.5 years in the legal department for an investment bank in Belfast. Like I said, I joined FinTrU in 2018 as a senior associate. I'm now a VP in FinTrU Legal. And I've had many highlights throughout that time, such as starting and growing a team for a Tier 1 investment bank, being promoted, and recently moving to the Northwest offices for FinTrU. So thank you, Una, and back to you.
Thanks, Paul. So we'll move now to the panel section of our webinar today. And the first question I have for you, Paul Skaggs, is can you tell us a little about what learning and development looks like at FinTrU?
Sure. So I think the first thing that I would say is that learning and development is taken very seriously at FinTrU. We've got a dedicated role for learning and development in legal, and there's a wider learning and development team which supports other specialisms in the company and the business more generally. I suppose everyone in the business has a responsibility to take opportunities to develop themselves and to help others to do the same, but the investment that FinTrU have made in a dedicated team shows just how seriously learning and development is taken at FinTrU, and that, I guess, importance is a recognition of the fact that the success of the business is reliant upon the people in it and their capabilities. So more specifically, at FinTrU, learning and development is based around something that we call DNA. So the D in the DNA stands for develop. So there's a range of options to develop and acquire new skills, knowledge and experience. Opportunities include pursuing a range of accredited qualifications, which aren't necessarily only legal qualifications, but also include other qualifications that focus on commercial and regulatory aspects of the financial services industry. We've got a series of products and subject matter training opportunities from both internal and external providers. There's a series of lunch and learns delivered by external and internal speakers. There's professional masterclasses, opportunities to participate in industry conferences, either as an attendee or as a presenter, and opportunities to participate in a range of online learning courses. So there's quite a lot there in the kind of the develop of the DNA. I guess moving on to the N in the DNA, that stands for nurture. So we've developed a performance management framework that's designed to nurture and to hone employees' capability and ensure that they continue to develop. And fundamental to this is an open and transparent culture whereby people are encouraged to discuss their development needs with their manager and the wider learning and development team. So that's the D and the N, and then finally the A is it stands for accomplish. So the measure of success of the learning and development interventions is the application of those new skills and knowledge and the accomplishments that follow as a result. So this is a key component of our culture of meritocracy, where employees are rewarded and progress based on the contribution that they provide to the business. So there's a clear map setting out, the requirements to progress in your career, and what behaviours and attitudes are expected at the different levels in the company. So that's I guess a very brief overview of sort of learning and development and the attitude that FinTrU has to that aspect of life here. So back to you, Una.
Thanks, Paul. I think it's really impressive when you hear just how many different learning and development opportunities there are. So thank you for taking us through that. And I suppose leading on as a next question then for you, Sinead, what opportunities have FinTrU offered to you in your career?
Thanks, Anna. Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, I've been at FinTrU for just over a year now, and I've already had many opportunities to grow myself personally and professionally. There's a real strong leadership, and as Paul mentioned, a real culture of learning and development in the company. Everyone's encouraged to take control of the direction of their own learning and development and their own careers. A couple of things that I'm currently involved in. I'm currently taking part in our FinTrU Delivery program, which is an in-house project management program. FinTrU Delivery is, I guess, FinTru's project management framework, which enables us to uniquely deliver complex change and BAU projects. As part of this program, I'm also studying for external FinTrU accredited exams. This year also, I've had the opportunity to represent FinTrU on a really exciting new ISDA initiative called ISDA Future Leaders in Derivatives. Through this programme, I'm actually part of an ISDA working group, and we're discussing important industry topics with ISDA senior management. At the moment, through that programme, my working group are currently writing a research paper, which we hope will be published later this year. The industry experience and exposure I've gained through this programme has been amazing for my professional development, and I'm so grateful for FinTrU to support me in those opportunities, and looking forward to more opportunities to grow myself with FinTrU in the future. Over to you, Una.
Thanks, Sinead. My goodness, what a busy year you've had so far. Well done on the ISDA Future Leaders Programme and true delivery. And it's great to hear how FinTrU are supporting you in your own career as well. So thank you for that. The next question I have is for Paul Duffy. So Paul, I know you come from a private practice background. Can you talk to us about your transition from private practice to an in-house role at FinTrU?
Yes, and thank you, Una. So I guess the first part I can answer this is what attracted me from private practice into FinTrU. And, you know, I'd previously spent some time with an investment bank in Belfast and then moved back to private practice. But, you know, I'd had some colleagues from that investment bank that went to move on to FinTrU. So I kept in touch, and, you know, as you always should do if you have a friend that works somewhere and you're interested, is to speak to them. And they had nothing but wonderful things to say about FinTrU, about the work-life balance and the opportunities that were there. They encouraged me to apply, and when I did, you know, I was lucky enough to be offered a job which had, you know, stable longevity, which I didn't feel I had in private practice at the time. It had great benefits and offer, and most importantly for me, great opportunities, you know, to help grow and develop FinTrU's ever-expanding business by way of being given an offer to grow a new team, which has been really enjoyable. I guess the second part is how I transitioned back into investment banking with FinTrU. So, you know, firstly, that transition was made easier by the work-life balance that my friends had spoke to me about. You know, I have a young family. I was enjoying time with my family again. I was enjoying my work. I was enjoying, you know, life. So the work-life balance was great. And the actual transition itself was made easier because you have a lot of demands in private practice, and you build up skill sets and experience that you can take with you into your job at FinTrU. And lastly, FinTrU really encouraged that entrepreneurial spirit. You know, you're encouraged to grow your own team, your own engagement, and, you know, that entrepreneurial spirit has been encouraged, which, you know, I've really enjoyed as part of this transition. So thank you, Una, and hopefully that answers your question.
Certainly does, Paul, and it's great to hear about all the opportunities you've had, so thanks for that. So there's been a lot of talk about culture, so we thought it would be good to share a video to show you exactly what culture means for us here at FinTrU. So here's a video of some of our highlights from last year. So hopefully that gives you an idea of our various cultural initiatives that we have at the moment. We really do have something for everyone, and it's fantastic to be able to get involved outside of the day-to-day. So we'll move on now to the audience Q&A portion of our event. So Just whilst we're waiting for questions to come through, and as a reminder, you can submit your questions anonymously through the chat function. We have received some previously submitted questions via Eventbrite, and I'll go ahead and ask one of those. So the first question I have is, what is the work-life balance like working in legal at FinTrU? So I'll ask that to you, Sinead.
Thanks, Ina. Yeah, I mean, Paul has already touched on the work-life balance, and certainly for me, I have a great work-life balance at FinTrU. I've got a young family, and FinTrU offers me the support and flexibility to build my career around my family. I definitely don't feel like it has to be one or the other. And I guess many of you listening today will have seen FinTrU recently announcing our new hybrid working policy. This new policy will allow me to balance my work and family life, having a mix of working from home and in the office. As a company, we're currently transitioning back to the office post-COVID, and today I'm actually in the office for the first time with some of my team, and it's been great to get everyone back together. And I guess the great thing about our hybrid working policy as well is that myself and my team can choose which days we come into the office and which works for us. And for me personally, this means that I can be flexible with my family and my work. And I guess also, though, for me, work-life balance is not just about having that ability to work from home. At FinTrU, I love the way that there's always opportunities to get involved in FinTrU culture outside of day-to-day project. So, for example, you know, we have lunchtime yoga, charity events, and weekly lunch and learn. So there's always something to get involved in and take a break from that day-to-day project work, which is great. Thanks, Ina.
Thanks, Sinead. I'm actually heading into the office on Friday and I'm very much looking forward to it. Haven't been in since before Christmas, so can't wait to see everybody. I see we're starting to get some questions in, so thank you so much to everybody that has submitted a question so far. The first one I see that's come in here is, what formal training can I expect to receive if I join the legal team at FinTrU? So Paul Skaggs, I'll maybe pass that one over to you.
Yes, it's I guess a good question. So I think formal training will be tailored to the person's existing knowledge and experience and to the requirements of the roles that they may be undertaking as their time at FinTrU evolves. I suppose some of you on this call may not have worked in financial services before and perhaps don't have a background in the legal services that we provide to the clients, to our clients, but you may well have a skill or a knowledge base which, with the right learning and development opportunities, will provide you with a launch pad for a successful career here. So I suppose that's a similar position to the one that I found myself in when I transitioned across to financial services. I was a qualified solicitor. I had a reasonably good broad grounding in finance and corporate law, but I'd not worked specifically in financial services before. So that is definitely not a sort of a barrier to getting a job here or to working successfully here. I think I'd break down the formal training side of things, I guess, into a number of different strands. So firstly, there is, I guess, training opportunities linked to commercial awareness and understanding of the industry. So we would encourage people to undertake qualifications under the umbrella of the Chartered Institute for Securities and Investment. So they run an introductory certificate which provides a good foundation for understanding the wider financial services industry and covers key sort of principles and products involved. I guess another strand is the introductory sort of legal training sessions that we would provide people with. So that's designed to give a sort of high level overview of the documentation that we worked with, which tends to focus on derivative trading documentation and associated regulations. So that's really, I suppose, sort of ISDAs and related types of agreements. And the idea behind that is to provide you with a kind of a good base level of knowledge so that you can have a grasp of the architecture of the documentation, some of the key issues that might arise, so that you can kind of understand the big picture whenever you're beginning to transition into a particular project or a role with a particular client. Then I suppose there's another strand, which is a specific training targeted at the requirements of the role that you might end up performing. So, if, for example, if you start working on a project that's focused on a particular area of regulatory change and its effect on legal documentation, we provide sort of training sessions designed to provide you with the initial tools to understand what the goals and requirements of that project are and what the documentation requirements and issues might be. And then I suppose finally there's an element of client-specific training. So, directly related to the role that you might be performing for a particular engagement with a client. So, what are the client's policies? What are their approaches? What are the kind of practical steps that you need to take to undertake that role? So some of that, I suppose, is relevant also for those people on the call that might already have some experience in either financial services generally, or perhaps people have actually worked on these types of documentation in other companies or other firms. And we're keen to support people in that category who want to continue growing and developing in their careers. So that there are further opportunities as your career progresses at FinTrU to undertake more of those CISI modules, so those Chartered Institute of Securities and Investment modules, more focused, more detail. There is opportunities to undertake more advanced level legal qualifications. And we've also developed more granular and deep training on a range of legal topics that we deliver internally. And I guess we're conscious that people might, during their time at FinTrU, move between different roles, different projects, different client engagements. So, we'll be supporting people with those transitions so that they have the knowledge and skills to make those moves successfully. I think as a closing comment, what I would say is that we want to empower people to learn, what they want when they want. Not just for the role that they're doing today, but what the roles that they might want to do in the future. And that brings me back, I guess, to the nurture part of that DNA piece that I talked about earlier. We want people to be open, and we want people to discuss what their needs are and how best we can support them over the different stages in their career. So hopefully, that's a brief overview of formal training. Okay, it's not the complete picture, but because there are other things, professional skills training, and I guess just general feedback during the course of your career here that will help you learn and development as well. But hopefully that's an overview of the formal training piece anyway. That's typically available for people in the legal department here.
Thanks, Paul.
No problem.
We've had another question come through, and this one's directly for you, Sinead. The question is, I'm currently completing my FinTrU accreditation. How well does it fit with FinTru's true delivery model compared to Agile or PMI accreditations?
Thanks, Una. Yeah, so true delivery, I guess, is FinTru's framework, and we take parts of the FinTrU principles and themes and adapt them into that framework. One of the the big focuses of our true delivery is on lessons learned, for example. So that's one of the FinTrU principles. And so we have lessons learned log, for example, that we share across various projects and teams to make sure that we're all learning from each other. And obviously, in legal, lots of the projects are, have a very different focus. So, for example, in BAU, we have less of a sort of traditional project focus in terms of metrics and that kind of thing, but we obviously have other regulatory projects which are metrics focused, and there are certainly lessons that can be shared across those various projects. So I guess the True Delivery programme definitely does adapt and use many parts of the FinTrU principles and themes and processes across the project lifecycle, and I've definitely found it very useful studying the FinTrU framework, and then being able to better understand, I guess, our own in-house framework. Hopefully that answers that question.
Thanks, Sinead, and thanks for that question as well. Another question I can see that we've had in is from someone who's not based in Belfast. The question is, are there any opportunities outside of your Belfast office? So that's a really good question, and I suppose I'll pass over to Paul Duffy. Paul, would you be able to talk to us about the opportunities in our other locations?
Absolutely, and thank you for whoever submitted that question, because all of our live adverts out there will say Belfast or Northwest. So absolutely, there is plenty of opportunities either in Belfast or Northwest or further abroad if you watch this space with FinTrU in the next coming months. And I guess I guess the reason you probably asked me is because I've recently moved offices. So I was based in the Belfast office for 2.5 years, and I've recently relocated to work from our Northwest offices. The reason I did that was because, of a small family, myself, my wife, and my 2 kids, and we wanted to move closer to grandparents. And with FinTrU opening up offices outside of Belfast, I genuinely had an opportunity to move out of Belfast, but not lose any prospect of career progression or development, because we're seen as site agnostic when it comes to development. You'll be given the same opportunities, and now for the first time I've seen in the local market, you don't have to work in Belfast to benefit from those opportunities. So thank you for whoever asked that question, and back to you, Una.
Thanks, Paul. So I think we have time for one more question. So just to finish up, the question that we have here is, I have a law degree, but have not worked in a strictly legal role since graduating. Are there any opportunities for me at FinTrU? So Sinead, could you maybe talk us through that one?
Yeah, no problem in it. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, definitely. As Paul mentioned, he touched on all of the training and learning that's available for anyone who comes into FinTrU, whether you've had experience in financial services or not. It varies then depending on your level of experience, what type of training you'll go through. In terms of having a law degree and not sort of working in a strictly legal role, I suppose my background was I had a law degree and didn't go necessarily down that traditional route, and came into financial services, and there's a lot to learn when you start into this this world of work, and FinTrU certainly have a huge support network there in terms of getting people up the curve and learning all there is to learn about the legal aspects of the role. So certainly there's so many projects, and there's opportunities to change projects as you go through your career, if that's something that you want to do as well. So certainly it wouldn't be a disadvantage of not strictly having a legal work experience, I guess, because all of the training will be available when you join the team.
Thanks very much, Sinead, and thanks again everybody for all of your questions. That's actually all we have time for today, so I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody for attending today. I'm really sorry if we didn't get to all of your questions, but please do send any questions that you may have to careers@fintru.com, and we will make sure we get a response to you. So we do have some great opportunities for people with legal experience who are looking for a career in the FinTrU legal department. More information on our careers and our closing dates can be found on our website, and we do hope that we have given you an idea of what a role in FinTrU legal looks like here today. And if you want to be kept up to date with our open opportunities and our career opportunities, then please do sign up for our email newsletter, which you will find details on within our careers webpage. So just to finish up, thanks again everybody for attending, and I hope you all have a fantastic afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks, Una.
Bye-bye.
Bye.